All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome. I'm here with Lynn Weedmark, who just completed a recent Avita Yoga teacher training, and she has so graciously offered to share a little bit about herself and what she learned from it, and a little bit about how she even got started into it in the first place. So, Lynn, why don't we start off with that question? And thank you so much for being here. Can you share a little bit about what inspired you to participate in the teacher training?
Yes, I found Jeff in Avita Yoga through the Teachers of God Foundation. He offered some free classes on that, and I just happened to catch it and was very intrigued. I've been a yoga teacher for over 20 years in several different styles, and his flexion in the classes that he gave, they were Sukhasana and going into flexion. And in my training, it was all about posture and extension. And one of my teachers, she was almost like flexion, you never flex. So that was kind of had been drilled into my head. But I was
Yeah, we were
very
just talking about that, weren't we? We just had a community chat where that whole idea came up about, flexion. Well, let me say it this way. We're so conditioned to hold a certain posture. There's a certain right way to be. And then even if that's the right way, then more of it must be better. And how taboo it is to go into any other possibility the body offers is sort of off limits. And I remember that was just kind of a little bit of a sticking point for you, but how did it go?
well. It still comes up once in a while, but I was just intrigued by the way my body felt. I was doing these sukhasanas and flexing and curving my spine, which I had never really even done before, and it was really hard at first, and then my body just felt different. But with and the idea of getting into all the little nooks and crannies, I really resonated with the idea that in the way I had been doing my Ashtanga yoga practice and doing these same poses and trying to achieve a deeper pose, I wasn't doing myself any favors, and I was having back issues, and I was getting older, and anyway, just that's what got me interested in Avita. So I did Avita for about 6 to 9 months, just almost daily with Jeff, and then I signed
When
up.
we were
I
going,
wanted to know more.
okay.
I wanted,
Yes.
so I signed up for the teacher training.
Yeah. Okay. So you were a student for about, you say 6 to 9 months.
Mhm.
You came in through the Teachers of God Foundation, which another way of saying that for anybody out there who's never heard of it is teachers of love. Teach love, for that is who you are. And so all that is inspired through A Course in Miracles, which has been a part of my life now for over 30 years, and probably a long time for you too. And so it's one of many, many helpful paths. So is there anything, I guess we kind of hit on some of the topics in the training, like just getting over and kind of through this idea of using the body in one particular direction, extension and heart opening and all of that we tend to focus on, and that we kind of forget that going into the pattern helps us unwind it. And we got to become aware of the limits. We really do. We got to bring it to our awareness before we can really evolve and release it once and for all.
Yes. And I did with Avita. I was so grateful to be in the teacher training with, how many of us were there in that training?
I think we had, I can't remember, 8 or 10, somewhere in there.
10.
Yeah.
And just being with a lot of different yoga teachers, some of them weren't even yoga teachers, but just with a lot of different backgrounds and opinions and just body style, and just seeing Jeff work with us all so individually and kindly and patiently, and it was I looked I looked forward to it every month. I mean, it was the highlight of my month, first 6 months. And
Yeah.
I just learned so much. And for me, it's been a journey of getting out of fix-it mode to healing mode. I've been a fixer. I've been I've been a pusher and a fixer all my life. And so Avita for me has been a whole mind body transformation. And I mean, I'm not there yet. I'm still a fixer, but I know I catch myself. I
Yeah.
catch myself, and
Mm.
I recognize just the being with and bringing it all into the healing presence, and
Yeah.
just that's been
It's
huge.
it's beautiful. Yeah. We're all in it ultimately for the undoing. That's lovely. So Lynn, you've been out of the teacher training for a while now. Are you sharing? You know, a lot of people come in not expecting to really teach it and then do, and some decide they don't want to teach, but they just enjoyed the learning and everything. Where are you with that now that the teacher training is complete?
I teach it. I started teaching it before I went to the teacher training. I just decided, because I was in such a
Yeah.
different modality. I couldn't,
Yeah, I remember that
so I
now.
just taught it. I just started teaching it. I told my people, hey, you guys are going to think I'm crazy, and I also want to say I went to the in-person teacher training last
Part 2.
and that was amazing. I mean, I got so much more with the hands-on and just having Jeff in person and getting to watch him work with a group of people at his new home in Minnesota who, I mean, these people were not yogi people, and they were, had a lot of physical issues. And just to see Jeff work with them was one of the most helpful things to me in working with because I work with an older population and with a lot of physical stuff. So the part 2 of the teacher training was invaluable.
Sweet. Wow.
But
Yeah, we had a
I
lot of
do
fun up
teach.
there.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
teach. I teach mostly a group, and it's growing. I had 12 or 15 in my class this morning. I only teach once a week. But
Yeah.
they love it and I love it. So
Yeah. That's what it's all about. Share the love, right?
yes. And I'm always learning, and I'm always recovering from my fix-it mode. And
Recovering fixers, I guess. Yeah, that's beautiful. Well,
yes, but
thank
the
you, Lynn.
variety of classes, the variety of, he never calls it strength training, but the way you learn to use every bit of your muscle. I mean, I might do some squats where I'm using my quadriceps in a certain way, but when I do the strap work and when I do he says, get the muscle from the top of the knee to the hip groin. So he really teaches you how to get the whole muscle involved, which is going to result in strength, but in a different way. So,
Yeah, beautiful. Well, we could talk about the details for the rest of the day here, couldn't we?
oh
As
yes.
we kind of dive into the principles of it. But let's just leave it at that. Man, I just so grateful for you, Lynn, and thank you so much for taking the time here to share with us today. Real inspiration. Yeah.
Well, you know how grateful I am to you, Jeff. Thank you.
And me, you. All right. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.